Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for joining me, and welcome to this panel discussion today. It is a
Recording in progress.
momentous occasion that we have gathered on today because exactly 3 years ago, the new national education policy was announced to overhaul India's education system and bring immense focus on 21st century skills to prepare students for the world that they will inherit. And to mark this day, we at Bright Champs wanted to bring esteemed school leaders together on one platform and take your learnings and your insights on the NEP so far. So, welcome, ma'am. It is with great pleasure that I introduce this esteemed panel. Today, we have Dr. Anjali Gurjar, principal at the Pawar Public School. We have Ms. Seema Sharma, a school leader, environmentalist, and space liaison officer. And we have Ms. Caroline Diane Ross, principal at St. Mary's School. Thank you all for joining me today. A warm welcome to you all. My name is Disha Doshi, and I'm an innovation analyst at Bright Champs. And I'm delighted to be joining you as your host for our panel discussion on 21st century skill building and the NEP's learner-centric approach. At Bright Champs, 21st century skills have been the focal point of our endeavors. And here's a short video on how we aim to inculcate these skills among students. Right. Now that we've had a bit of an upbeat beat to set us off, let's begin with our discussion, ma'am. So the new NEP strives to shift the focus from rote learning towards a holistic skill-based learning approach. So I think my first question would be to each one of you, which is what transformative changes do you envision with this emphasis on 21st century skills? Dr. Gurjar, we can begin with you, ma'am.
Thank you, Disha ma'am, and thank you, Bright Champs, for inviting me to be a panelist today. The first and foremost, point that the NEP emphasizes is about, doing away with rote learning. So I'm very glad to mention it. Finally, somebody has said that, we should do away with rote learning and emphasize more on, our students being active learners, not just coming to school for getting some question and answers delivered by the teacher and all. So main thing is to note is every child should be given a chance to learn at his or her own pace. You cannot have one size fits all. So we foresee that is going to happen, when the NEP 2020 is really implemented in the schools in letter and spirit. And of course, when all our teachers are trained to get into that kind of a mood, so to say, because in spite of the B.Ed programs, and now Bloom's taxonomy has been modified, and we have the last rung on that ladder, or on the triangle of creativity and all that. Still, we need our teachers also to understand that, and they should be able to implement it in their classes. So that mindset of teachers, parents also, and teachers has to change, and then I think things will be clearer as to how we can implement this NEP 2020 and bring it to the classes. All those C's and all, which everybody, I'm sure the other speakers will also mention, the critical thinking, creativity, those will come automatically. But main thing is the mindset that has to change. And with NEP 2020 being floated 3 years ago, people have started thinking in that direction. So this is my take on the first part.
I think there's also a really interesting aspect, ma'am, that we will see a transformation among the students, definitely, but we will also see our teachers transform, and overall our entire educational ecosystem transform. Uh, Caroline, ma'am, can we get your thoughts?
Yes, I believe that if the NAP is implemented in spirit, just like ma'am was saying, it would empower learners to have an active role in education. First of all, it will make them responsible for their own learning, and it will generate global thinkers, students who are well balanced and who are more productive at every stage of learning and working.
Yeah, ma'am, very concisely put, ma'am. Thank you. Seema, ma'am, can we get your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this was much needed. Finally, we all are glad that we have revolutionized and someone has brought this 365-degree change and given us a vision that it's high time now we need to change our perspective. We need to, when we talk about global citizens, it's the right time that we need to lay the foundation for our learners to be called as global citizens. And as Anjali ma'am also said, that teachers also need to go through a lot of transformation, and the best way to let everyone understand is the change in their mindset. So I think with the fixed mindset which we were having for years and years, and that fixed mindset was also, though many teachers always wanted to bring a lot of creativity and newness in the classrooms, but because they were bound by the restrictions such as that we need to finish our syllabus, they have to pass this quantitative test, they have to pass board classes, they were not able to practice it. So I think that fixed mindset has to be replaced with growth mindsets, whether we talk about our teachers, whether we talk about our learners. And I think for our learners, we have to prepare along with 21st century skills, we have to prepare them to face the challenges of the real world. So we haven't prepared our learners to face the industry challenges when they go out and they become a workforce. Earlier, our students were not able to take the challenges of the industry. Now, with this approach, I think we are moving towards right direction. I think with all the stakeholders putting their best efforts in this direction, we will definitely conquer what we are trying to.
Very well put. I think we finally have a great end to the debate of the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset, and we're finally moving towards the right direction. Professor Pradnya Bansude, thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. We also have this is our final panelist. She's also the principal of New Wisdom International School. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. We were just discussing what transformative changes we will observe with the implementation of the NEP, especially the 21st century skills approach that will be taken, ma'am. So can we get your thoughts on that?
Sure, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. And actually grateful to have this honor to, have a panelist member and give my opinion about. So see, NEP is where I see it as like the rote learning, which we have a main topic we were discussing. So we can have, associated learning and meaningful learning, we could say, because rote learning is like repetitive things which is not difficult to remember. Once we do the things again and again and again, the child or the person will be able to understand the thing is like this only. But then where it comes to concept or understanding, then the experiential learning or the peer associations or collaborations will work out. So exactly this NEP will help us to envision this new generation with a, we can say a bright future of country, we can say. And yes, we all have to come together and put our efforts to being leaders of the schools to inculcate in the campus or environment in the school itself. So yeah, that all we can do it.
Thank you, ma'am. That's actually the perfect segue into my next question, which is that Dr. Anjali also spoke about this, that we cannot have a one size fits all pattern.
Right.
And this new system, we will have a lot of flexible learning paths for students that will be possible. So at an individual level, at a school level, what are some actions that can be taken to encourage learner-centric learning? Um, ma'am, we'll begin with Seema, ma'am. Can we begin with you?
Yeah. So I think from the student level or in the school level, a lot of changes have to be brought. I have to say that these changes were always needed by the teachers and by the students, but we were all bound by expectations as per the national curriculum. But with this kind of freedom where we have to make sure that we are moving towards skill based teaching, I think it's very much needed. So we can start with we need to understand that we have to give a lot of freedom to students, because we have to make them independent learners. When we talk about independent learners, we have to allow them to have a lot of curiosity in the class. How they will have curiosity when the teacher is asking them that, instead of introducing a concept where it was a one sided teaching, the teacher was the it was teacher centric learning. Teacher came with the concept in the classroom, she or he is trying to deliver that concept, and students have to be silent observers or absorbers, and they have to absorb that knowledge. So we have to shift from this kind of environment where a lot of place for curiosity. Students should be given a problem, they should be told to analyze the problem, they should be asking, there should be a lot of why in the classroom. I usually tell my teachers, if I'm taking a round and if your classroom is very quiet, I am not a happy principal. I will think that there is one sided teaching which is happening. You are not allowing your students to ask 5 times why, though there has to be a discipline, but that curiosity should be there, and that will give me an impression when I can hear noise from the class, which means that learning is happening, curiosity is given a place to interact, to find out, to analyze. They will be able to see, all of them have learned that concept, maybe a base of that concept in their previous year. They need to build up that knowledge, but they need to explore, they need to find out. So teacher has to really work as a, we keep on saying that teacher is a facilitator, but we haven't experienced it. So that's what I think, teachers training is very important. If we want this to happen in the classroom situation, we need to tell teachers it's time to unlearn. First they have to unlearn what they have been doing for years. So when they will be able to create this kind of environment, I think we will be able to achieve. And there are a lot of other strategies, so I think I will give chance to others, because we all know that what all has to be done to achieve this.
Yes, ma'am. I think that really does tie into what Caroline ma'am was also mentioning about the mindset shift. So Caroline ma'am, can we hear from you now?
Yes, of course, I believe that first of all, to implement this NEP, we need to reconceptualize our curriculum. The curriculum has to be tailor-made to suit the diverse students' needs. And for that, I think the latest concept of the universal design for learning, the principles of universal design for learning provides that we can have multiple ways of engagement, expression, and representation of information. So I think implementing the universal design for learning concept in schools will help schools to improvise their curriculum and definitely will create pathways for better learning in children and it should be more real world based rather than book-based knowledge. So children will be more aware, more empowered, and more confident in their work.
Yeah, ma'am. That actually ties in perfectly with Professor Pradnya's view on, the NEP trying to match that gap between what students are learning and the industry and what are the expectations. Professor Pradnya, your thoughts?
Yeah, as Seema ma'am said, like teaching learning is a both way directional process. So being teacher cannot only deliver, and being student, they cannot just listen and learn. So here we can go with the experiential learnings. Let them come up with the thoughts. Teacher should have where she has to give the conclusion. She should be ready. So it is like unlearn and relearn. So she has to give highlighted points to the kids, let them come up with the points, and then she can, polish the ideas with a conclusion, will help the child to get that concept in a right directional ways. Because like the child seems like nobody's, everyone likes to be heard, right? So even the child, they want like, Arey ma'am, suno, I want to say something. So give them a chance, listen to the child, and come up with your thought, which is correct. This will help them to filter, to get shortlisted. And yes, this is what help in build up the confidence of that child as well. So this we need to train the teachers again, as Seema ma'am said. We need workshops, we need trainings to the teachers, and it will take time. But if we will have the success in this method, I think we'll have a fabulous generation which will, lead our India or our country. We could say that.
I think not just lead India, but it would also set up students to face the world that they're going
Exactly. Yeah.
to
Globally, we could say.
reach. Absolutely,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Dr. Anjali, ma'am, can we?
Yeah, I second all the thoughts put forward by our esteemed panelists. And I really like that, that noisy class concept, because, even I believe in that, whatever Seema ma'am spoke about. Maybe we have to revamp our furniture a little bit, push it away, the conventional desks and chairs and all, and give the children floor space, which is what we do in our school actually. Because if they have to do some collaborative work, they have to discuss with one another. We cannot have them sitting in a very prim and proper way. Of course, I'm not recommending at all that we don't need discipline. But we do need to give them that extra space for experimenting. And this at least CBSE or the NEP has come out with this concept of the holistic progress card. So that will definitely help, because we are not going to be worried anymore in the near future, about completing the portion and getting a question paper based on those few chapters that we are going to assign to them on the school website and all. So that holistic progress card will be an ongoing report card, sort of, and it will not talk about marks or even grades. What I understand is, they will just have things like beginning, progressing, or proficient. Suppose they have some lesson on healthy food or some nutrition based. So the children will be marked on whatever activities they do, whatever concepts they understand about what one has to eat and what will be healthy for their body, why they should eat certain foods. And if you can have three grades kind of, not ABC, which again are, very demeaning to some students, because parents again keep comparing, okay, I got a C grade, my child got a C grade or a B grade. It can just be beginning or proficient. If the child has really understood a lot of it about the nutrition part and whatever topic the teachers have taken up. So that holistic progress card also will help us to go away from that rote learning and the conventional exam method. And here I would just like to give this acronym GROW. We in our school we refer to as get rid of old ways and reboot yourself, reboot your entire system. I mean, rebooting the parents also, because the parents come with this fixed mindset. They send the child to the school with a fixed mindset that what is the exam portion, and the children also get into that mode. Okay, is this coming for the exam? I mean, they just ask openly, is this included in the exam? If not, then why are we learning it? So we have to get out of that mindset. That is why GROW, get rid of old ways. And of course, as our panelists said, parents also need a lot of training and rethinking. Parents have to do the rethinking first. Then they will stop asking questions to their children, like, okay, show me the portion, or you missed school today, so you have to copy down the notes. I think we have to do away with those copying down the notes business. The children have to learn, be self-learners, as Caroline ma'am said, and think on their own and get their own notes. Why do they need ready-made notes? Especially from third standard onwards. Up to second standard, I foresee that in our country, in many of the areas, especially my school is in a semi-rural area, there is a language barrier. But once they understand, they learn to express themselves in a particular language, there should not be any difficulty in getting their own answers. They ask the questions and they get their own answers.
Yeah. I think, ma'am, those are some wonderful points. Professor Pradnya?
Yeah, I would like to add on this point. As she said, the parent point one, I'm agree with this point, because until and unless parents support us with the new things or new techniques which we would like to implement, parent has to be ready. If they support us, the process becomes easier. And another point, as she said, like numbers, they are just looking at the numbers and the grades. Here we would like qualitative generation, not quantitative. So this concept, even we need to teach the parents, like don't ask for the marks. They have to look towards the concepts and what child has to face in the practical life. So we should have such parents workshops actually for these things, like what ma'am, Dr. Anjali ma'am said it.
Right. I think, ma'am, you and Dr. Anjali ma'am, you reminded me of one of my favorite classes that did not happen in a classroom. It was, a physics class that happened outside on the ground. And I think to do away with the conventional methods of teaching is and the learning environment as well is a wonderful, wonderful particular action that can be taken. Caroline ma'am, would you like to weigh in?
Yes. So it's very important, first of all, that we teach children to be wise consumers of information and also confident producers of knowledge. So we need to rethink our process of assessment. It need not be pen and paper always. And in fact, I believe that right now, most of the schools are moving towards multiple ways of assessment. And though a summative assessment at the end of the year is still necessary to move on to the next level, but throughout the year, we do have multiple formative assessments to measure the students' learning, and it need not be just marks. There are grades, and also it can be art assessment of a literary class. It doesn't matter. It's about how the child presents his knowledge for us to gauge his understanding. So we as schools need to rethink our modules of assessment so that we arrive at the correct, we are able to gauge the student learning and also take corrective measures if necessary.
Yes, Seema ma'am, please go ahead.
Also, I would like to add here that if when we talk about changes in our classroom situation, we also have to focus a lot on differentiation, which we are missing for years. I think when we know that we have diverse learners, we need to also think about that we need to have diverse methods to cater to their learning needs. So many times I think when I have taken training, a lot of teachers get very paranoid. Ma'am, differentiation means you are expecting us to prepare a lot of different worksheets, a lot different homework for them. So no, it's all about practical differentiation. A lot of differentiation can be very comfortably conducted in the classroom through your techniques of your questioning techniques. Most of the time when you are giving a task to your learners, you don't even ask your learners for that question. Have you taken a one step down the question, one step down for one of your learner who has not understood or comprehended that question correctly? So we have to really move from the concrete to abstract type kind of questioning, where during that process the entire class gets benefited. So I think differentiation is very much required when we talk about our independent learners, when we talk about our learner centric approach, which I think we haven't applied in our curriculum.
Ma'am, I would like to add over here that, the counselors, they have something called as the IEPs, individualized education plans, or, personalized plans. So if we have these in every class, we can address this problem of, diversity among our learners. So, and it's not such a big deal for the teachers if we divide this work among all the teachers, and we have these worksheets or whatever plans ready once and for all. At least for the next 6 months, the teachers can be comfortable and they can address the problems faced by these diverse group of learners. And with availability of technology and all, if we give them a chance to find out for themselves what really interests them, or some of the children can be given for the same topic, they can be given a higher set of expectations or the questions that they need to answer, or something, the common parlance is competency based assessments, or HOTS, higher order thinking skills based kind of questions. So depending on what kind of learners we have in our class, some of them are audio learners, visual learners, kinesthetic learners. So it's not very difficult once our teachers and all of us get used to this kind of teaching in most of the classes. Art integrated learning is common now. So there are so many techniques available. It's only that we need to take them to the classes. Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am. And these set of programs that we can implement would definitely help build the confidence of every student in that classroom, not just the majority, but also look after this, the students who might be suffering maybe in the classroom, depending on the conventional learning path that is being implemented. But with all of these wonderful initiatives, do you envision that there might be any challenges that we might face on ground in terms of implementing the entire plethora of initiatives that come within the NEP? Can we get your thoughts, ma'am? We can begin with Professor Pradnya.
Yeah, the challenges, if we think about, will be the first, can be the mindset, as we have already discussed. Is it's already a passive, they just don't want to change their way of learning or asking children to do it. The other classroom challenge, as we have said, the teachers who are teaching. So they have already learned few methods and they are just following the techniques of teaching. So they thought like whatever we know is the same thing and the child has to understand that. Whatever it's her mindset, she wanted to force onto the children, we could say that. If we change that method, we have to first work on the teacher's part. And why we are into these workshops or trainings for teachers, then again the parents are involved in this, because they have gone through the process of learning is different, the way they have learned it already. Now this mindset we have to change through conceptual learnings and experimentals. We have to make them understand, like experience give them factual learning, we could say. Like when child wanted to try, though the first time, first attempt, child won't be successful, might be failure, but then child has to learn to accept that failure, and this is the first step to take more two steps towards success. which helps in build up the confidence, we could say. So classroom management is actually a challenging part, we could say. And to change this challenge, we could have some assessment changes. Like we have FA1, SA1 and all everything, which is pen and pencil and the paper. So this assessment can be practical, experiential, or experimental, we could say. Let them do the experiments and then let them come to the conclusions. And then we can say like, yes, this is what we wanted to ask you to write. And then child will accept it easily without denying ki ma'am, why this is round. If the child asks, we don't have any answer, right? So let the child understand why this is round, and then child will automatically get that into, yes ma'am, this is round. So we'll get the answers from the children. So what these are the challenges I think we all have to work upon towards conceptual map of learning. Then we could say like this approach is learner centric approach. So learner to be in the loop and then the process to be involved.
Think very well put, ma'am. And I'm so happy you gave us a list of challenges and potential solutions as well. So we're
Thank you.
prepared with our arsenal of what needs to be done. Caroline, ma'am, would you like to weigh in?
Yes. So, of course, we have multiple stakeholders in the education system. Developing the mindset, changing the mindset is the major roadblock towards the implementation of NEP. Firstly, if you take it as a school management, they need to invest in infrastructure. They have to provide classrooms that are conducive to open learning, changing the mindset of parents, changing the mindset of children towards learning, because they have to also learn to to be able to collaborate, to be able to believe that everyone can succeed. There shouldn't be the rat race of who's first. The ranking system still exists, especially in a country like India. A lot of emphasis is given towards ranking and marks than towards skills and what a person can practically do with life. So the changing the mindset of students and at large the board itself. Though we say that we want to implement NEP, but then we still have to grade the children, and we have to ensure that they have certain learning levels. So we have to measure that. And that assessment process must change. So these would be the roadblocks in implementing the NEP.
And it's about finding that sweet spot and that balance between what is expected from the curriculum and what would be the goal of the entire program. Thank you, ma'am. And that reminds me of one very important 21st century skill, which is dealing with failure. And that is something that earlier was not really taught in classrooms. And so, Dr. Anjali, what are your thoughts on
yes, I was just going to come about to that point. It's about, besides the IQ, which everybody knows, and even the parents are worried about, what is the IQ of my child, and they take them for several tests. But these days, we also have to address their EQ, SQ, and AQ. That is the emotional quotient, the social quotient, and the adversity quotient as well. Because as they grow up and they're out of school, the school is a very safe and protected environment that they have. They should learn to take on the challenges of the society. And so that's the adversity quotient, like whether they will be able to perform or sustain themselves in a world where they will face some challenges. Things may not go as per their wishes and choices. All the time, their teachers, school teachers and parents may not be there to, protect them and to mollycoddle them. So we have to prepare the children for this aspect also. Besides the academic content and the co-curricular activities, those anyway, they go on. We as in schools, we have to conduct those. Otherwise, why are we here for? So the academic part and the dance, music, sports, declamations, everything will go on. But value education, character building, learning to take care of their emotions, how to be an actor and not a reactor. One father who was giving us a training many years ago, at that time he had mentioned, learn to be an actor, not a reactor. There is no need to voice your opinion immediately the next minute that you we have to get them out of that for something, and the next minute they have it. And this learning to say no by also becomes very important. It may you just say no to a few of the things that the child may ask, whether it is in the school or at home. But children have to learn all these things, that EQ, learning to take care of their own emotions, not to get swayed over by social media. That is, I think, absolutely important. How to use social media. Keep emphasizing this again and again to them. So aspects also of outside. I know after 10th or 12th standard, it's a very competitive world, and they do not have time to address all these.
Are already I reinforcing the same thing that learning now time to focus. I've seen functions, they will never. Why when we 8 months we again you
Recording
that
in
the entire
progress.
year child has studied. If the child will not attempt that exam, will be marked absent, will bring that percentage down. Whereas we need to bring a kind of change my report card structure. Why parents are after you study? Because whatever is reflected in the report card is will be valued by everyone outside your school, right? So what I have done is, the child may be having 10 or 20 concepts in a year for every subject to learn. The child may be good in fractions, but the child may not be good in some other concept of mathematics. So if I am grading my child in mathematics as B, C, D, or E based on the one exam, pen and paper exam, which happened in the form of essay in unit or term, I have already declared that my child is not, the parent is already accepting my child is not good in mathematics. Will stop even thinking, will start focusing. But here, your child may be struggling with one or two concepts of mathematics, but not all concepts. What is more important, that I need to work on those concepts where the child is not able to understand. The teacher also should work on that concept for that child, and the parent also need to understand. So it all depends on how we are presenting. Same with the government. If your assessment structure talks about student in the category of 90 plus, 80 plus, 85 plus, we will not, this all will go in vain when we are talking about making it experiential learning, skill based learning. I think the top has to be corrected, and then bottom or backward planning will be more useful.
I
Ma'am,
think
Seema ma'am, I would like to add over here that I've been interacting, just by the by, with some interviewers of companies or all these agencies who are in charge of hiring people and all that. So I was happy to hear that some of them said that we don't even look at the class 10 and class 12 mark sheets or the certificates, the degree certificates and all, because those are the minimum qualifications, and we know that the candidate does have them, does possess those certificates. What we see is the attitude of that particular candidate who is applying for the job or something, and it is the attitude and his sustainability, and his the patience that he has developed over the years. All those are to be considered instead of only the mark sheet. So
I project work, crack the questions. That is the difference. That is what we say about why collaboration skill, why your critical
The box, the comfort zone, as ma'am said. If we provide any comfort zone to anyone, the people might think like, yes, everything is fine and we can do it. But when they come out with the practical things and life challenges and they face it by their own, I think this is what the best teacher or mentor for the kids, we could say. So let them understand and let them solve by their own. So we can, I think hopefully in few years we'll be able to achieve this goal.
Well put, ma'am. I think the stage for the NEP and its implementation is set, and we're just slowly unveiling
Right.
what it looks like. And over the next few decades, in fact, we'll be able to see the changes that we are talking about. So thank you all for this wonderful discussion, ma'am. If there are any concluding thoughts or remarks that you would like to add, please do.
You just said, hopefully in the few decades we'll see it. And that's the sad part, Disha, because by the time, if we wait decades for this NEP to be really implemented in the correct spirit, by then we'll need a new national curriculum framework because we do not know what's the future and we'll keep
True.
on implementing. So we actually need to take effective steps
Yes.
to help one another to implement this immediately as soon as possible. You see, it's already been 3 years since the NEP has been launched, but it's not yet implemented and nobody knows. Though, yes, schools in the urban areas are still kind of aligned and we can take it on. But as on a large scale across the country, we will have to take more measures and a lot of steps have to be taken by the government to implement this as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Carol,
would like.
just to add to it, this FLN, the foundational literacy and numeracy, I think people are already tackling, like government bodies or whoever.
Yes.
They are already working on this FLN because that's the very foundation, and we hope that once we are out of this FLN, in the sense, our learners in the rural areas also, as rightly put by you, all across the country, not only the urban areas, our rural learners also are up to the mark in the basic reading and numeracy skills. I think then only we can talk about all these things that we mentioned.
Yes.
But anyway, we have to, all of us have to move on and work on it. Yeah.
I will say that I think more than anything we need to support our teachers. They are really confused. They are really very scared whether they will be able to do justice with the new NEP structure. I think it's high time we leaders have to support our teachers. If needed, handhold them. If needed, give them sample lesson plans too. Sometimes we throw this challenge to a teacher that please come up with a project based learning topic or something to do. She's clueless. So we
Correct.
need to support if required. We have experience. So let us come forward, let us support them, let us give them a kind of peer of. I usually do a lot of peer teaching. I still call my teachers and my peers. So I do a lot of peer teaching where I tell them that, okay, I am teaching this particular concept. Come, witness my way of interacting with students. Pick up anything which you feel that can be implemented in your class. Even observe your peers, those who are having always high grade in their observations, that they have the best teachers. Learn from each other. I think when we will come for NEP, we need to learn from each other, and for us, it's a huge responsibility. We need to handhold our teachers for this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I totally agree with Seema, ma'am, because teachers, like being leader, without teachers, leader is no leader, we could say. So yeah, definitely we have to support our teachers and handhold them, and wherever needed, we have to be there. Then only we can be having whatever we are expecting. So that's all, and thank you for this opportunity again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that's really well put. I think we all will work together towards the collaborative implementation of the national education policy
Sure.
for a better tomorrow for our students. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you all had a wonderful discussion. And we hope to see you all soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you so
wonderful
much.
Yeah,
day.
Thank you
thank
so
you.
Thank
much.
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you
Yeah,
to all
sure.
the
Bye.
co
Bye.
panelists.
Bye.
Yeah.